Welcome to Love to See It, a podcast about the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
And about weddings. A handful of weddings, like 4 weddings to be exact.
Once you add the funeral, you've got a full handful right there. So we are obviously discussing the 1994 classic, 4 Weddings and a Funeral today. And here to chat about it with us is friend of the pod, actor, comedian, and host of the Will You Accept This Rose podcast, Arden Myrin.
Hi.
Hi.
Arden, welcome back to Love to See It. We are so excited.
I mean, first of all, always delighted to be on the podcast. Always happy to see you all. Congratulations on your wedding, Emma.
Oh,
come on.
Thank you. I miss you. I miss you. You haven't been in New York enough.
Okay,
so
great.
Let's get into 4 Weddings and a Funeral.
Please.
Just to start us off, Arden, why did you choose 4 Weddings and a Funeral from our short list? And what is your relationship with romantic movies in general?
Oh my God. I love a romantic movie. I love them. I'm all in. I drink the Kool-Aid. I'm fully I'm not a hater about it.
Same.
I love to see it. I love it. I'm not snarky about it. I'm not a cool kid about it. I just it really reminds me of my mom was in love with Hugh Grant. She full hook, line, and sinker. I have to say, adult me watching back, now that I know that he's a little bit of a crank or whatever, but it almost makes it more interesting. He's so adorable in it, and I kind of a nightmare. I really felt for Fiona. I really felt for
no, you're this is a man who tortures women. But when I first saw this movie in the mid 90s,
sure,
I didn't have the. I was
I feel like his character in the movie kind of represents Hugh Grant as a person, which is just he's got this adorable, charming, self-effacing, floppy-haired persona that kind of hides the emotional terrorist that lies underneath.
No, he reminds me of whenever anyone I know tries to date a male comedian. I'm like,
yes,
you think you're the only one that's I'm kind of attracted to. It's you have no idea, particularly when they tour. They are on a tear every city, and it's you.
And this man is touring weddings.
This man is on tour and is a nightmare. The guy that I forced to basically just stalked in high school until he was my boyfriend for 2 months. Here's my advice to my past younger self: a light touch. If they don't, let them come to you. You know what I mean? And if they're not coming, they don't want to. They know where you are. There's nothing you can do to trick them into. If they wanted to call you, they would. And just move on. Like yourself enough to go, for whatever reason, I have an allergic reaction to this person. I'm allergic. It's like an alcoholic. I can't have one drink of this person. And just know that maybe just cross to the other side of the street. They're not good for you ultimately, and they're adorable and they're charming and they're fun. But your feelings get so hurt.
It's probably not the case that there's this incredibly handsome and charming man who's just too insecure to think he has a chance with you. Most of the time, that's not what's going on.
Also, that I love
very
that
few of them are truly insecure.
His body count that he really thought he couldn't get at it. My cat Mittens is demanding to get picked up. Hold please. Hi Mittens. Do you want to join the pod? This is Mittens. She has thumbs. Look at that star. She's just been screaming at me from the ground. So she's going to be up here. Sorry,
I was having my cat used to scream at me when I was taping
She's been screaming at me.
Oh.
And I felt and of course, again, looking back, Manic Pixie Dream Girl and of Andie MacDowell, I will say, at least they gave her one fun speech at her wedding.
Okay, so before we get into the plot of this movie, let's give a little background, just in case anyone watching has not seen this film. So 4 Weddings and a Funeral follows unlucky in love Englishman Charles, also emotional terrorist, as discussed.
Unlucky in love.
Who
unlucky for the women.
Exactly.
For the women.
Big time heartbreaker. Nightmare. Toxic male.
A toxic man who with floppy hair. Who attends a series of weddings with his tight-knit group of friends and encounters a beguiling American woman named Carrie. The film came out in the U.S. on April 15th, 1994. It was directed by Mike Newell, who also directed movies like Mona Lisa Smile, Pushing Tin, Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. So like an eclectic resume that Mike
That's a
Newell.
wild
Yeah,
for somebody
he's
just
range.
was Pushing Tin Kevin Costner and Renee Russo?
Okay,
I've never seen
a million people were in Pushing
Who's
Tin.
the female
John Cusack,
who's the
Billy
female
Bob Thornton,
who's the female love
Angelina
interest?
Jolie, Kate Blanchett.
Okay,
Like
weird.
It's
Okay,
really,
I don't know that I've seen
wow.
that. Okay.
Yeah, I've
Stacked.
not seen it either, but it's like a,
Stacked
it's a
deck.
movie. It's a notable movie.
Respect.
Yeah, it's a movie.
Respect.
The screenplay for Four Weddings was written by, of course, writer, producer, director Richard Curtis, who went on to write a spate of bangers in the rom-com space, including Notting Hill,
Perfect
Love
movie.
Actually, and Bridget Jones' Diary.
I loved all of them.
Same.
All of them.
Love all of them, and all do star Hugh Grant as well.
I mean, he's incredible. For a person who doesn't want to be Hugh Grant, he's so good at being Hugh Grant.
I know.
Oh, he's really good at it. And I think that also this movie, to me, feels like a first draft of both Notting Hill and Love Actually. So it's very interesting to see the threads of both of those, I think, maybe in certain ways more successful movies in this earlier movie.
And in a way, Hugh Grant is just playing against that type that Richard Curtis created for him in Bridget Jones'
And that's what
Diary.
makes him so good, I think.
Yeah.
I think
So
his resistance is what I think Fuck-a-Doodle-Doo was the one where I looked like I saw his soul die when he had to say that. I looked in his eyes and I just saw darkness.
Hilariously, they had to tone down some of the cursing for this movie because American audiences were like offended by it.
And I did notice they said 40 miles per hour. I was like, okay, that's dubbed in. They definitely filmed that twice. In the car.
I'm sure that they did. Yeah, I'm sure for that.
That was back when they used to rewrite the Harry Potter American edition so that it said sweater instead of jumper because we just could not handle it.
No.
I hope they don't do that anymore.
No.
Richard Curtis has said that he started writing the screenplay actually at age 34 when he realized he had attended 65 weddings in the prior 11 years. So, Emma, this could be an origin story for you
I could write
as well.
This film, except I would not make my own stand-in Hugh Grant. That wouldn't.
Wow.
Yeah, well, it would look slightly different. At one of those weddings, a woman wanted to spend the night with Curtis. He turned her down. He ended up regretting it. And I guess that kind of explains why ultimately it sets the stage for this romance that is pretty thin and really does just feel like, oh, yeah, you should hook up with that hot woman at the wedding. Maybe she'll fall in love with you.
I should have. This is like his lifelong.
Right.
Also, apparently, he was like, this screenplay was partially a way for me to explain to my mother why I never got married, which I think is hilarious.
Okay. So he's just
course,
like, he's also just like a heartbreaker.
Yeah. He's like, I never got married because it could have been that one woman that I turned down at the
hottie.
wedding. She got away. So,
and I
love
hated
that-
all the rest of them.
I also love that the character description when we first see her, it's like she works at Vogue. She's American. She's a slut. They use the word slut. And like, it was like, whoa, like that. And that's really all we know. And then I'm like, oh, okay, so you're basically saying like she's down to get at it. Like you're shaming her about it. And
well, she's an American. I don't
she's
know
a
if you
trash
know about
bag
us,
American.
But, yeah.
well, a woman is shaming at her for it. I think it's clear that Charles is thinking, so you're saying she's DTF. Like,
Yes.
sexually available Carrie is what I'm hearing.
And then like at the end, I've loved you from the moment. She's just beautiful. Like she's just mostly, but Andie MacDowell was so darling in it. And so
she
like,
is so gorgeous. So
she's so darling.
So, of course, as we've been discussing, Four Weddings stars Hugh Grant. This was his first collaboration with Curtis, and he had been like a steadily working actor known in like the UK for a decade. But this movie was really the way that he broke out to American audiences and essentially became like an overnight megastar sex symbol. Every American was obsessed with him, and the press tour was apparently completely wild. And
I
British
didn't know
Invasion
that, and
Part
that's
2.
incredible.
Yeah. And
Say
then
that
he
one more
went
time.
on to star in like Sense and Sensibility, 9 Months, Notting Hill, Bridget Jones' Diary, 2 Weeks Notice, About a Boy, Love Actually. This was all in the following like less than 10 years.
America was like, give it to me.
Yeah, no, like,
Basements
give
were
it to
flooding
me.
across America for that floppy
I mean, I
hair.
was in elementary school and I was
Yes.
like, give me more Hugh Grant.
Oh, my mother and my mom and I were like, whoa, this is it. I mean, he was so
He's so like
good.
fluffy hair and the slutty little glasses in this
Oh.
movie. Like it's
I thought all the acting was so good. I always get heartbroken for the young lady that played Scarlett, who passed away right after this.
She did.
She was so good. And the gentleman whose partner dies in it, he like his speech.
John Hannah.
Yeah.
Oh
we're
my God,
gonna
they were-
we're gonna get
in
to
there.
it.
Okay. The acting was just overall, everybody played their instrument in the orchestra so beautifully. It was so beautifully cast.
It
Yeah.
really, really was. So alongside Hugh Grant, we had Andie MacDowell, Kristin Scott Thomas as Fiona, like the best friend yearning, the woman who is yearning for Hugh Grant's character.
Yes.
And Four Weddings was actually made in just 6 weeks on
Wow.
a less than £3 million budget. I think like 2.7 million pounds.
So
They thought it was
fun.
like gonna be some little indie, and it ended up becoming just a big box office hit unexpectedly. And at the time, it was actually the highest grossing British film of all time as of
I mean,
1994,
the
which
weddings,
is crazy.
The country houses, the cars, the country lanes, the
I
Scottish.
think it hit with Americans.
Oh, give it to me. I want to go dance. I want to go do like a Highland Scottish wedding kilt dance. Like I just was
Yeah.
all in.
And it seems like it really kind of laid the groundwork for this boom of these, I mean, Richard Curtis,
Yeah.
British rom-coms that American audiences were just ravenous for. They're like, oh, a bunch of like cute British people flirting
Yes,
and in settings that are exotic to American audiences. Like, we're obsessed. And it did receive Academy Award nominations. It also, Hugh Grant won the Golden Globe for Best Actor, Musical or Comedy. So it was also kind of a critical success. It was generally well reviewed. Curtis's screenplay was very much praised by critics. Also Newell's direction, Hugh Grant's performance, Simon Cowell as Gareth.
Callow.
Sorry.
Cowell.
I wish it was Simon Cowell.
Simon Cowell. Simon Callow as Gareth.
He was so good.
So good.
So good.
So the reviews are pretty solid. Roger Ebert gave the movie a 3.5 out of 4 stars, calling it delightful and sly, and correctly predicting that Hugh Grant would kind of break out through this film, that this may be the one that makes him finally familiar to American audiences, as
Ding,
he puts
ding,
it.
ding. Roger Ebert always nailed it, to be
He
honest.
did. He landed the plane.
Janet Maslin at the New York Times compared the movie favorably to a wedding cake, a multi-tiered confection with a romantic spirit and an enchantingly pretty veneer, and felt the movie's one misstep was Andie MacDowell's Carrie, which I don't really disagree with, which is, we'll discuss. It's strange because I think we all love Andie MacDowell. Like,
Love, obsessed.
she kind of makes Groundhog's Day work, and yet it's not really. To me, it was the one combination of character and performance that wasn't quite working here.
Something that was interesting to me to learn is that they had actually cast several other actors in this role by the time they went to Andie MacDowell. Jean Triplehorn was supposed to play the role, but then she had a death in the family and had to drop out. They filmed this in like a very like 30 days. And then they went to Marissa Tomei, who also had a family illness.
Both would have been interesting.
Yeah. And
Andie
so then
MacDowell
they
is
went-
somewhere with her voodoo dolls. Being
Then they went to Andie MacDowell. And so I wonder, I don't know if this is miscasting. We'll discuss it more. But Janet Maslin wrote, Carrie is the film's one misstep since she is meant to seem both ruthless and sympathetic in ways that don't really add up. Ms. MacDowell, ordinarily so gently alluring, sounds oddly mechanical here. She isn't right for this character's hard-boiled outlook and occasionally brittle humor. Luckily, Four Weddings is truly an ensemble piece, and its convivial supporting characters are all beautifully played. Running counter to the film's ostensibly romantic manner, there is the suggestion that these friends are bound together in ways no mere marriage could match. match. And I think, and we'll get into this more, but I think that is part of why the movie ultimately works, despite the fact that its central romance doesn't.
Well, it's also right around the time that Friends started. You know what I mean? Like you think about it, where and then like Sex and the City's a little after this, where the love of your life can be a group of friends. This was right before.
Oh, that's interesting.
Or like right around the same time as that.
Yeah, we're entering this like discourse about friend groups in that like mid 90s to late 90s period, and this is kind of a piece of that.
Yeah, are we like getting into the era of, people aren't getting married and settling down as quickly? They're just overgrown kids in the city with their friends. And like instead of starting families, they're just still hanging out like they're in school.
Yeah, and they're like, and it's fucking great.
And it's great.
It's awesome.
It's awesome.
And yes, please. Okay.
Is Gen X killing the nuclear family?
Yes.
Yeah, this was, before millennial discourse overtook us.
This was also around the same time, I believe, as what was the one with Winona Ryder and Ethan Hawke?
Reality Bites.
Reality Bites. It's around the same era.
Yes, that was also 1994. Also an incredible film, which we should do a rom-com rewatch
Yes.
of.
Yeah, they discovered friend groups full of Peter Pans, like in 1994 specifically.
1994 was the birthing.
Yeah, it was the like peak Gen X culture.
Yes.
Yeah.
I feel like watching it, and I wasn't sure if I was going to be hard on Andie MacDowell's performance watching it back. And I just breathed into the rag and I feel like the issue is what's on the paper.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is actually in the screenplay. I think
there's not that much there for her to do. And so if her essence, I kind of liked that she was sort of this southern, not city. Like I kind of liked that she was an unexpected version of that. Yeah. Yes, there's a slight stiffness, but I found it kind of worked with, like, I just sort of gave into it, but I was like, the issue's the character.
Yeah, I mean, and it has worked for a lot of people. There are some iconic moments with that character. I think for me, what Janet Maslin is circling, I agree with, which is that, like, it doesn't quite come together. And it's like,
it doesn't cohere.
Maybe there was a performance that could have made it feel like it came together more. Certainly there was a script that could have made Andie MacDowell's performance make more sense. And so, like, which part do you really fault? Like, it all just feels like it's not quite coming together. And that's where I was left.
There's enough meat on the bone.
Certainly
like,
not.
You have to have a really good actress. Like, I just feel like, what was she supposed to play?
Yeah, you need an actress that was going to create an entire character that I think was not given to her at all.
And create it not in the lines, but in her like inner life that we don't get to hear the words of. So it's like just her essence has to be so grounded and confident that there's so much going on behind her eyes because there's no meat on the bones besides she's hot, guys want her, she's flirty, like I just like there's no lines that have been edited in that we know much about her.
Yeah, that's the deeper problem, and we will discuss, we will explore. For now, we're going to take a quick break. When we get back, we're going to dive into the blow by blow of this movie and really try to figure out what we loved, what we didn't.
And we are back. Claire, our steward of the recap, will you take us through the beat by beat of this movie? I'm so excited.
Same.
Okay, so we start with Wedding 1. It's Angus and Laura. We see our central friend group preparing for the big day. They're getting up with their alarms. They're eating their toast and their eggs and their tomatoes.
It's so British.
It's
the
the whole
toast is
friend
so
group.
cute.
So good.
Love.
Fiona, played by Kristin Scott Thomas, is in her elegant wide-brimmed hat and black dress. Her brother, Tom, the kind of center-parted, like schlub, but who is kind of the aristocrat of the group, played by James
her brother?
Fleet. Her brother.
Wait, they very casually drop in a line in the first wedding where she says, like, maybe, like, would I hate him less if he wasn't my brother?
So she's loaded, too, but somehow it's more, like, it's really like he's the landed gentry because he's the boy. Like, why is it never?
Boy, yeah.
Well, like,
he's the one with the money, but she lives with him clearly. Like initially, I had to remind myself that they weren't married because she comes down ready to go and he's at the breakfast table.
He gets the money because he's the boy. Like
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
I mean, I think that's how it traditionally
he probably
goes.
sort of like funds her lifestyle because she is family.
Side note, the costumes still banging. They're all bangers.
She is stunning.
Every
all
single
of them.
one of
all
Kristin
of
Scott Thomas and Andie MacDowell's outfits, I was
they still work. I'm banging bangers, and I loved Scarlett's outfits. They were
Scarlett's
so
outfits are
beautifully
fun too.
done.
Scarlett's outfits are statement pieces.
Agree.
We have David, played by David Bauer. We have partners Gareth and Matthew, played by Simon Callow and John Hannah.
So good.
We see them kind of playfully getting ready together, like Matthew's flicking Gareth's nose. And they all pack into what appears to be an old, like, military Jeep. I thought a lot about car culture today and how all of these people would be arriving separately in nice cars in an American movie made today.
I love that, but it feels like that bougie kind of like Prince Harry, like Land Rover, like an old fun.
Yes.
Like, it feels like that bougie. Let's go like get the corgis and go on a fox hunt in our
But
old
it's like
Land
less
Rover.
showy than an American car would
it's
be.
old money, right?
It's
like,
old money.
We're not
old
going to
money.
buy a new hunting jacket or a new Range Rover.
This was my great-great-grandfather's hunting
exactly.
outfit.
There's just one problem. Flatmates Charles, played by Hugh Grant, and Scarlett, played by Charlotte Coleman, have slept through their alarms. At this point, I have to pause and try to imagine how Charles and Scarlett even know each other and why they're flatmates.
There's
we do not learn anyone's jobs or backgrounds in this.
We don't know what they do all week. They don't know what their careers are.
And
nothing.
Richard Curtis has said that that was intentional because he's like, when you're with friends, you don't talk about like
That's
what
true.
you do.
It doesn't matter. You're right. If it's an old friend, you're absolutely right.
You could have given us some context. The only context we get is that they all seem to know each other from university.
But I don't picture Scarlett there.
They seem to be, well, because Scarlett seems like a little bit out of step with them. At one point, she talks about how she is going for a job as a shop girl at like basically a fetish wear store, though she doesn't seem to realize that's what it is. You know, they're all presumably in their late 20s or older, and Charles needs a flatmate who is an unemployed shop girl. Like, you know what I mean? Like, where is it cohering here?
Obsessed.
None of that's important. All we need to know is that they are best friends.
They're best friends.
Even though they've never, she never advises him. He never confides in her. There's no... But they're
the only intimacy of their
together.
Friendship is that they live together
and they sleep late and they're like chill, like just trying to get to a wedding.
And Scarlett has, of course, dyed red hair, scarlet hair that is styled straight up in the air like she's been electrocuted.
So cute.
Charles is still zipping up Scarlett's orange dress with a purple sash in the church parking lot as the bride arrives because they are so late. And Charles is actually the best man, so not great. A little odd also in the grand tradition of these movies. Characters are always being like best men or maids of honor for characters that we never see them speak with again. Like, how is he Angus's duty?
He
he
did that, Claire.
Yeah,
their friendship
Angus isn't part of the friend group.
Yeah.
He's cleaving to his wife now.
We do.
Oh my God,
see
she was
Angus
so
again
cute.
With his wife at the funeral.
He shows up at the events, but they don't interact.
No, they don't.
That's a great
That's
point.
true.
Yeah,
she was so good being drunk. She was great. She was great. She didn't have a big part, but she was so cute.
She made the most of it.
Yeah, she did. She did a really good job.
Charles has also forgotten the ring. So, you got to think this guy is a disaster. He's not a very good friend. He has to mime to his friends in the pews to procure him rings while the ceremony is happening. And so the bride and groom end up with like a gigantic multicolored heart ring and a skull, respectively.
Love.
They seem pretty chill with this. I would have been pissed.
I was thinking the same thing. I was like, if someone did this to me, I would flip the fuck out.
It's really shitty because it's also like you want kind of the magic confused when you're up there doing your vows. You kind of want that like incantation to like put it, like seal it in.
Yeah. A giant fucking skull. I would not be well.
Dude.
I would not be okay. The officiant forgot our vows books during our ceremony, and I still clearly have not forgotten it. The wedding also showcases the personalities of some of our main crew. We see that Scarlett, despite her unconventional appearance, is very conventionally sentimental. She thinks the bride looks gorgeous in her giant fluffy dress.
She's a sweet
singing
character.
along to the songs. She's a sweetheart. Like, she's just a complete romantic.
She loves love.
But Fiona,
and I feel that she does a good job. I feel like as an actor, I'm like, oh, I believe her as Scarlett. I found her to be grounded. As a person who's made her career playing I would have been a Scarlett if I'd auditioned. I would have gone in for Scarlett.
The zany character.
Yeah. Knowing that Land of the Highway, I felt like she was I felt like she was a very full character. She filled out what was on the page, she made larger.
I agree.
Completely
I
agree.
also wonder if Scarlett is a little bit of the blueprint for the sister in Notting Hill.
Okay, yeah.
I had the same thought. There's
Agree.
a strong similarity between those characters.
Yeah,
Yes.
and like that affection with the Hugh Grant character.
Something that I sort of appreciate is a character who is not conventionally gorgeous and who struggles with her appearance a little bit, feels like she's not, attractive to the men she wants, but she doesn't shy away from like feeling that romance and longing for it and being open about it. And I think that's like a beautiful character to have in these ensembles.
Agreed.
Meanwhile, Fiona, of course, is Kristin Scott Thomas, looking elegant as fuck. So she can be cynical. She's like, the bride looks like a meringue. Like, what are you talking about?
She's also in all black.
Always in all black.
She's maybe a precursor in Bridget Jones when Colin Firth is with like the lawyer, the elegant lawyer that's more his type. Natasha.
Yeah.
She's kind of like visually a Natasha. She's kind of put together like a Natasha. She feels like a Natasha.
She's gorgeous, but somehow like maybe too polished and perfect and poised to be the love interest. Gareth is dramatically pretending to kill himself. He would not be invited to my wedding were I to see this, because it's just so hard to have to be at a wedding. Meanwhile, a mysterious stranger in a white suit and black hat the size of Texas has arrived, and it's Carrie, played by Andie MacDowell. So in the receiving line after the ceremony, Charles compliments her hat, and she says, "Thanks, I bought it specially." So there's our meet cute.
And it's a great hat.
It's a great
It's
hat.
a great hat. Great hat, great outfit.
I would love to go to a traditional British wedding just so I could have a reason to wear a ridiculous hat.
I think no one was having more fun with this production than Richard Curtis writing all of the wedding speeches. Clearly, he just wanted to write like 25 wedding speeches.
They were great.
And
they were
the costumer sorting these hats, like sourcing these hats.
And they were all believable. Like it was all a little extra, but they all felt like real outfits. Like it didn't feel bananas. Even the bad wedding dress, like it all felt just like real life kicked up a little bit.
I agree.
So well done.
I mean, the whole concept of British wedding hat culture, I think, is probably a big part of why this movie broke through, because you're watching, you're like, why are they all wearing these wild hats? Are they
give me a
royal
fascinator, any of it. Can I give I know I'm jumping ahead. I want to give an Oscar to the older gentleman that had like 3 lines. The person who get confused when he got his name, he's been dead for years, bride or groom, like the same sort of senile gentleman that was at multiple weddings. He was so funny.
So funny.
Such a good actor. He had like 4 lines. He stole the show. He should win Best Actor every year for that performance. Thank you.
I'm glad you brought it up, because I didn't even include it because it's not relevant to the plot at any point.
But it is hilarious.
But
it's incredible. And he was so good.
And like, Charles, don't be ridiculous. He's been dead 20 years.
Enraged.
My own brother?
He reminds me of every interaction I've ever had at a family holiday. Just absolutely, you can't win. You're not going to get it right. You're stuck next to the wrong person. They're going to misread you're going to twist what you're saying. Just obsessed with this.
And like, why is he at all of these events? Really?
Like,
like,
he's an icon.
Doddering uncle or something.
Star. He's a star.
Maybe they're
he's like
all
funding the
cousins.
whole thing. Yeah. Oh, for sure.
So meanwhile, we do see an amazing scene that I included just because I love Gareth. Of Gareth commenting on Scarlett's horrifying orange and purple ensemble.
Yeah.
Fabulous dress, the ecclesiastical purple and the pagan orange symbolizing the mystical symbiosis in marriage between the heathen and Christian traditions.
Incredible.
And Scarlett pauses and is like, Yeah.
Incredible.
Exactly.
It really is those random details that make this movie work despite so much of it not cohering. There is like a specificity to some of the smaller characters, especially
banter,
that like
yeah,
it makes you feel like you are at a series of weddings with these people.
And each person, even though there wasn't meat on the bone for Andie MacDowell, the rest of the cast, each person has an arc.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And it is kind of about all of them going out and seeking love and finding love in their own ways. Meanwhile, Charles asks Fiona about this mysterious woman, and she explains that she is American and a slut.
Gross.
And I was like, Jesus Christ,
her.
Fiona. But then it turns out that this is actually Carrie's whole character, as we've discussed. So I guess that was all the exposition we needed. Fiona adds that Carrie used to work at Vogue. Doing what? We don't know. She doesn't.
She
seem
does
to have a
Vogue.
job.
She worked it. I know. I was actually backing up. I was like, did I miss a line? Like,
although honestly, I look at her and I'm like, I do believe. Yes,
same.
I do believe she had some sort of fancy magazine.
But that's the
job.
thing. It's just like vibes. It's like, doesn't she?
That's
The
fine.
vibe is magazine. The vibe is fashion
I
magazine.
knew when I worked at Conan, like when it was in New York, there was a lot of like young assistants that were just like gorgeous, funded somehow. And they were all just like all assistants, beautiful. Their outfits were more than they made in a month every day. And like, and you're like, oh, it's like this disgusting casting call of like gorgeous, put together. Like it was just like, it was, you looked at all these guys hiring people. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And I feel like she just got like, if you looked right, you could just sit at a desk.
She just had the look to sit at a desk.
She had the look to sit at a desk.
She adds that Carrie only goes out with very glamorous people quite out of your league. Which leaves me with the question, why is Carrie here? Who does she know? Like, is she someone's who is she friends with? She never seems to know anyone involved at these weddings better than she knows Charles, whom she meets at this first wedding. So,
and she's also never with a date. She's always solo.
And then she's engaged. So
and then she's bringing Hamish. Like, he's not the reason she's there.
Right.
So there's no clear like connective tissue between her and this group.
This woman, whoever is the woman that got away for the screenwriter, really was like a thunderbolt for him. Really struck a chord.
Oh, yeah. I know. I'm like, this American woman running around. Like, does she even know?
He's like, she's the one woman who approached me and I just didn't feel up to hooking up. And so that one will always haunt me. That's why you never say no to a woman.
You know who I want to recast as Carrie? You know who I think is so glamorous, who is put together and sexy and like not an actor, but I want to cast, I want to make this person an actor and give her Kelly Wersler, present day. I want to play Carrie. I think she's so hot.
I don't even know who that is.
I don't know
oh my
who that
God,
is
she's
either.
the designer. You got to look her up. She's this hot designer who's badass. She's super talented. And I go on her Instagram, go deep diving. Kelly Wersler, I feel like she's cool, she's sophisticated, she's a designer. I feel like she could somehow show up in No British People. I want her to play Carrie.
She could just know British people. So at the reception, Charles decides to make his move. He takes 2 glasses of champagne, removes his glasses, because when you're about to get slutty, the slutty little glasses have to come off.
Duh.
And he offers the second drink to Carrie. But unfortunately, he's immediately interrupted by another male acquaintance who seems to be like trying to horn in. And he fails so spectacularly at shaking him off that Carrie actually just removes herself from the situation. Like he starts being like, how's that girlfriend of yours? Oh, she's not your girlfriend anymore? Well, she was always bonking her ex anyway. We all knew that. Oh, she's your wife.
Congratulations.
Oh, well, congratulations. Any pitter patter of little feet in your home?
Does that man eventually become his potential brother-in-law? Because he looks a whole lot like.
No, but that man does become the Butler Martin in The Parent Trap.
So,
very
I respect
important,
that.
very important stuff.
Okay.
This is the scene where Hugh Grant is wearing the slutty little glasses, and it just
Yes.
Devastating.
And
Devastating.
do you think it was a
Amazing.
mistake for him to remove the glasses
Yes.
in order to
I do. I
Yes.
think it was a grave error. Never take those
That was the
slutty little
real
glasses
problem.
off.
Carrie
They're
was like,
so
where are the
cute.
glasses? I thought
Hot.
he seemed cute, but now there's no glasses.
No, give me the glasses. Give me
Yeah.
the floppy hair. Give me the fake stutter. All of it.
So Charles, after this disastrous attempt, convenes with his brother David, who is deaf. And this movie does like pretty significantly include David as a deaf character and like British Sign Language, which he and Charles use to communicate. And they had this little confab in British Sign Language. Charles explains that he feels worse than when they were kids and his leg was cut to shreds by a propeller,
Yep.
which seems unlikely. But he can still just go talk to her again. You know, all is not lost. Meanwhile, David has a prospect of his own because we see a very pretty woman asking their friend Matthew who David is. She calls
Who's
him
that
a
dish? The
Yeah.
dish
A
is so
dish.
cute. My goal in life is to be called a dish, but at some point in my life.
I don't think it's ever going to happen
Yeah.
for me, but I'm
She's
so
a
happy for
dish.
David.
Yeah.
I want to be called a dish.
I wish that there had been like Love Island sooner so that we could have some of this earlier like British flirty slang having been incorporated into our vocabulary. You know, like
early
calling
Love
people
Island.
dishy.
Early British Love Island was incredible.
And
Did you watch for the first seasons? Did you watch them?
Only a little bit, but
Okay.
that
A
is
little
where I
bit.
started to hear certain.
But I didn't hear
bits of
dish.
slang. That
I didn't hear
not
dish either.
Dish is from a previous
You're making
generation.
me.
I think.
You're mugging me, Hannah. You're making me. You're making a
Mugging
mug
me
of me,
off.
Hannah.
Yeah, it's a
You're
little
mugging me
less
off.
posh. This is the
Yeah.
more posh
She's
crowd.
dead
than I think.
gorgeous. She's
Then I think we-
gorgeous.
Yeah, calling all the men geezers for some reason.
So good.
We also see Fiona making perhaps her strongest attempt at flirting through the entire movie, and it's not a very good target. She's speaking to a future, I believe, Catholic priest played by Rowan Atkinson,
So
So
good.
cute.
and making
He's
him
so
uncomfortable by getting a bit sexual in their conversation. She asks
Yeah.
about whether he's officiated a wedding, and he says not yet. And she says, well, the first time will be like the first time you have sex, but
Yeah.
less messy and less need for condoms.
Cute. So good.
Which
In a way, Rowan Atkinson's first wedding officiation, I'd say is maybe more messy and awkward than most people's first time having
My
sex.
God,
But we'll
it
get
was
there.
Yeah.
So good.
And there
So
was a need
good.
for condoms, maybe not during the wedding ceremony, but soon thereafter, as we
Yes.
see. Charles gives a very funny speech. Kind of offensive, but it goes over really well with the crowd. Mostly consisting of jokes about various people and sheep that this groom and also the last groom for whom Charles was best man had been unfaithful to their wives with. I
Right.
think he said with the previous groom it was people, and with Angus,
I think it was family
more
members.
sheep. Family members,
Yeah.
yes. And people are just in riots of laughter at this
Yeah.
material. And this was when I was like, wow, Richard Curtis was like really excited to write some wedding
He was
speeches.
feeling himself.
You
He
can
was
tell that all of
feeling
the wedding
himself.
speeches, no matter what character, were all written by the same person.
Oh, I was surprised Andie MacDowell got one. I was
I
actually,
know.
that was the only
I
time
know.
like they gave her one thing and then it ends so cruelly.
He couldn't
whole
resist
thing.
writing one more speech. He's like, let's have Andie MacDowell give a speech.
It was
Why
the
not?
only time I was like, okay, it shows
Yeah.
that there's something there, but even though it's they're all the same person, but okay,
Yeah.
at least she got one.
They're all Richard Curtis having a great time.
Yeah,
You know
exactly.
what? He knows. Some people know, like they love to give a speech.
Oh, yeah.
they love to hold court.
He's like, life doesn't have enough opportunities for me to write all of the speeches that I wish to write.
That's
so
why
I'm
you're
gonna.
a writer. Affection.
What if I just made a movie about wedding toasts and then I could simply write 10 of them?
It's always a man too. It's never a woman that's like, boy, do I love giving. It's always a man that's like,
Oh,
let me hold court.
I was such a Carrie. I did give a toast at my wedding, and it isn't traditional. And I was like, I'm giving one. I
Good
don't
for
care.
you. Good for you.
It was more emotional than funny, though, I have to admit. So he does make one heartfelt remark himself that he is in bewildered awe of anyone who chooses to take that leap of getting married. And he says he could never do it. And Carrie in the crowd looks disappointed. And I gotta say, Carrie girl, when a man tells you who he is, believe him the first time.
Fiona also looks quite disappointed.
Everyone is disappointed. These ladies are all like, but maybe he just
I have to say, every guy that I've ever dated that, like, when I've broken up with them, I've been aware that they've basically told me in the first 1 or 2 dates what is the thing that I will eventually break up with them for. Now, my best friend Lauren, we have a deal that if I have to tell her everything, because I've generally edited out or omitted
the key details.
If I'm hiding something, because whatever I want to hide from Lauren is what I will eventually break up with somebody over.
Yeah. No, well,
I've
only had one real ex, and it was the situation where he didn't like me, and I kind of convinced him to date me, and then it turns out we broke up because he never liked me as much as I liked him.
That's the thing. I mean, look, and it's not.
You can try to white knuckle your way through that one, but it'll come for you eventually.
Yeah. He's like, no, I don't know. I just don't feel that excited about the prospect of dating you, and I was like, I don't know. I don't think that's a problem.
Yeah, well, I can like us enough for. I had that. That was my first boyfriend.
Oh
ever.
yeah,
I've done that too.
I can like us enough for both of us.
Fiona is wiser than we are, I have to say. She is my idol.
Yeah,
so the comedy of the wedding unfolds. We see Charles mournfully watching Carrie dance, and he asks Matthew if there really are men who can just go up to a girl and say, "Hi, babe, name's Charles. This is your lucky night." And Matthew says if there are, they aren't English. And I have to say, there are other options, like going up to her and being like, "We got interrupted before, but I'd love to ask you to dance."
Or where you from? They ask you a question about yourself.
You don't have to say, "This is your lucky night."
You think Charles is trying to ask women questions?
No.
At least we know
Also,
Charles.
by the way, there's 48 women at one of the weddings that are mad at him. So there's no way he does not know how to go up to a woman.
Yeah.
Well, what we learn is that his MO is just to act like he's very serious about women he's not into.
Yeah. But he could do that here.
It's true.
He could go up to her.
And the problem is he's actually into her, and he's very confused by that.
Good point.
Meanwhile, the bride is tearfully telling everyone she loves them, and the groom looks absolutely disgusted. Soon they will have twins together. A disconsolate bridesmaid says that she was promised sex at this wedding if she was a bridesmaid, but there's not a tongue in sight. Her friend Bernard offers to provide, and she says, "Oh, don't be ridiculous, Bernard. I'm not that desperate." Before the night ends, they will be passionately making out. They're my favorite married couple.
They're the best.
I love, and they did seem believable. Like the whole, I bought it. I love how horny she gets for him eventually. They have full chemistry. I really loved this storyline.
Me too.
It's sweet. It's like the real friends to lovers. And I love a friends to lovers.
Same.
Whenever I see a movie like this where there's a yearning character and then they don't end up together, I'm like, why didn't he just marry Fiona? It ruins the whole movie for me. So at least Bernard and Lydia figure it out.
Agree.
As the night winds down, Carrie approaches Charles and she asks where he's staying. He says he was going to stay at a pub called the Lucky Boatman, but he just got invited instead to stay at Tom's castle for the night with the rest of their friends. And she's like, "Oh, that's too bad. I'm going to be at the Boatman." She says, "It was nice not quite meeting you. It was a great speech." And he's sort of like, "Oh no, the night's still young." And she's like, "We both know that that's a big lie."
That's a good line. Her exit line was a good line. It gave her a little bit of power.
No, look, her confidence and her power in their dynamic is like, I aspire.
Same.
It's her best quality as a character. So Charles is now in hot pursuit. He sees an opening. He has his friends drop him off by the pub after all, saying that he is doing research on pubs with the word boat in the title, which I think was probably a very convincing excuse. And Carrie is in the pub living room, hidden in a wingback chair. And it seems like they're about to get it on. But then another loutish British man comes in looking for the American with the, quote, lovely legs.
He's just a standard English predator, this man.
He was so gross and well played. Believable.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, I was like, you need to run from this man.
We've all been held captive by somebody like that somewhere, like at a wedding, cornered, and you're like, oh.
Carrie is like miming to Charles, like, "Please, no, I don't want to talk to him." And so Charles kind of bluffs. I haven't seen her. But unfortunately, 2 whiskeys arrive for Charles and Carrie at that very moment, and the man decides to settle in and have an entire bottle of whiskey with Charles.
Yeah.
And then things get really disturbing because what he tells Charles is that the groom's older brother, quote, buggered him senseless at school.
That's what I was. Was it like? What is? I thought
Okay.
bugger. I think was like getting at it.
It
but does
is.
it mean he beat him up?
I mean, I hope that it's figuratively speaking, like he was really on my case all the time. But like every discussion I have seen of this scene indicates that it is widely read as meaning that he was like sexually assaulted by this boy at school.
That's what I
like
thought.
that is sort of like
that's what they were meaning to say?
I think that pretty much that is, first of all, what it means. It is not an unheard of element of like English boarding school culture.
Okay.
Where you have these older boys who are like the head of house or what have you, and then these younger boys that they're kind of like supposed to train in certain ways, model. He says like, oh, he buggered me senseless, but it taught me a lot about life. I hope that they did not mean it in that literal sense, but I will say it seems to be broadly received that way by critics and audience members that I saw speak about it.
Wow.
So, yeah, I think it's supposed to be sort of like dark humor, I would say.
It did stand out to me, and I was like, is that? And then
I know. I think I glazed over it. I was like, they must.
Well, I did a little, because I was so like, in this closer watching, I was sort of like, really? That can't be what people read it as meaning.
Right.
Nope, that's what people seem to think that it means. That is literally what it means. And this is why what you guys were discussing, how they had to take out some of the stronger language because it offended American audiences. And I was like, they didn't take out the part about like child rape.
Well, I don't think Americans know what
I don't think they know what it is. Even in 2025, my brain tried to make it something else. I tried to go, I think it's that, but he must mean like he got beat up or something.
That's what I was thinking too.
Or teased.
It reminds me maybe of when we were younger. I remember they did what's that song? It's like to the window, to the wall. And they did a radio edit that covered up some of the like motherfuckers with skeet skeet just repeated over and over again because like the people making the radio edit did not realize that was actually like worse than motherfucker, and so they used it in the edit.
What does skeet skeet mean?
It's sexual. I don't.
Ejaculations.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I love that song.
Yeah, well, and I now
my
have
high school
that in my brain forever.
Soundtrack.
It's such a good song.
They used to play that edit of it at my Catholic school dances.
Sweat rose on my ball. Oh, ski motherfucker.
Yeah,
ski goddamn. Ski motherfucker.
Yeah, a lot of skeet in the edit.
I didn't know that's what it meant.
Catholic school dance.
I definitely didn't know that meant that at the time. So
right.
I didn't know until
didn't make any sort of scandalous impression on me.
Exactly.
I never heard that.
I didn't find that out until later. Anyway, Charles is rescued by the waiter who says that his wife summoned him to room 12. And of course, it's Carrie pretending to be his wife. She opens the door for him and he says they could maybe skulk around here and go back downstairs later, trying to kind of imply that he's not trying to get in her pants, I think. And she's like, oh, well, I don't usually skulk, but I could skulk if skulking is required. So he goes in for a drink to skulk. And almost immediately, they're like hooking up. She sits on the bed. She's like, the bride and groom didn't kiss in the church. Kissing is big where I come from. But I'd be worried about taking it too far. And there's a very similar scene in The Wedding Singer where there is a sort of attempt to demonstrate how much kissing is appropriate during a wedding ceremony. And then that becomes a romantic moment.
That's fun.
Yeah, maybe this was the original version of it. So she starts demonstrating how she would maybe kiss him, and soon they are passionately making out and having sex, all the while discussing what the vicar might consider to be too far.
I liked it. I bought it. And they had chemistry. I liked it. It was hot.
This is one of the peak moments for them as a couple.
Yeah, it was hot.
Yeah. In the morning, he awakens to find Carrie dressed and about to leave for America. And he says,
good for her.
That's a tragedy. He's not pleased. She very seriously is like, so when do you plan to announce the engagement?
That was fun. That was fun.
You know, I mean, we slept together.
That's fun.
And he flounders about. He's panicking. And then suddenly he realizes that she is messing with him.
I love this. I loved this because I was like, yes, this is a moment that she is just like turning his expectations about women on its head. She's like, you think I'm trying to trap you. Like, no, babe, that's not what this is.
I mean, as we're discussing this now, for a character that doesn't have much meat on the bone, I do agree with Emma that there's like some strength in her, like, okay, ding dong ditch, like, I'm out of here, bro. Like, I don't want that.
Yeah. There are these like disparate moments of her character and their relationship that I like, and then I'm just like, it never quite coheres
we just
into
don't get
one
enough
thing.
of it. Like, there needed to be more there, and instead this really is an ensemble piece. So there's like not a lot of space to flush her out.
So as she leaves, though, she says they both missed a great opportunity here. So maybe kind of putting it back on more of an equal footing. Like, we're both just two people who had a great opportunity and we're both missing out. And with that, we're going to take a quick break. When we get back, the final 3 weddings and a funeral. And we're back. So it's time for wedding number 2. And of course, it's Bernard and Lydia. Charles and Scarlett have overslept again, and their car has now been booted. So again, I'm like, is Charles broke? Like, does he have a job?
He's giving broke.
Are they just booze hounds? Like, what are they? Are they just like, why are they such a mess?
They are such a mess.
They're a complete mess.
Why?
So
I'm like, they're booze bad. Like, what's happening?
Something is not quite right here. And it does seem like I understand why Fiona is like, Carrie can maybe do better than you. You live with a roommate and you both between you can't keep your car paid properly.
And you can't get out of bed and you miss your chaos.
You can't work an alarm.
This is why it seems like the English needed to come together around evening weddings. Like, these are all in the morning.
Okay, I was thinking about this the whole time. I was like, this is a scourge. Like, we don't need weddings at 9 a.m.
Yeah, it's too early.
It's so too early.
They're running madly through the streets to the church. This one is a Catholic wedding, and Rowan Atkinson is celebrating it. They're like, he's a friend of the couple. It's his first wedding.
I think he's like a family member.
And
he nails it.
I mean, I think Richard Curtis or Mike Newell also did Mr. Bean.
They had to.
So they're on the inside track with the Rowan Atkinson.
Richard Curtis, yes, co-created Mr. Bean.
There you go.
He's not overplaying it. Again, it could have been
perfect.
Schmacting. He was just they're such good. He did such a good job.
Yes. And it's kind of a tough bit to pull off because it's so absurd that a priest would just make these specific mistakes. Like, why can't he say the Holy Ghost without saying goat instead, or the Holy Spirit instead of saying Holy Spigot? Why can't he pronounce anyone's name? Everything is just a little bit off, but he is just so funny and so
you
good.
Believe
at
he's
that
terrified.
Type of
you believe he has such bad stage fright. And he's believable. It's so darling.
I think my favorite is when he realizes that he doesn't have to say the middle names of Bernard that he keeps forgetting how to say. And then he looks so thrilled, and so does Bernard. And then he finds something else to mispronounce.
Oh my God. Bernard's middle name is so perfect. St. John is such a good, perfect. Wouldn't it be panicking about pronouncing?
He's like, Bernard's.
As a person with a weird last name, that doesn't look, as a person whose name is Marine, but it looks like Myrin or Myron, I see the look of panic in everyone's eyes when they get to it. Every time. And I know that. And I know that I am aware. It's a lifetime of that. So I think they picked St. John so perfectly because I would also panic when I would be making him
That's why you gotta practice.
Yeah.
Rowan Atkinson is new at this, though.
So
he's still learning.
Yeah.
He's so good.
And I will say that as a Catholic growing up, this appears to be the briefest Catholic wedding mass in history. Normally, you have to basically do the entire mass plus the wedding in the middle.
Yeah, this was giving more like Jewish wedding ceremony in length.
They head out to the reception where Gareth is explaining his theory about marriage, that couples just run out of conversation. So the man asks the woman to marry her to come up with something to say.
Wow.
As Charles puts it, the definitive icebreaker. I believe it's Charles. And then Matthew is like, well, maybe it has something to do with true love, because Matthew is the true romantic of the
Matthew
group.
and Gareth are
Matthew.
the true heart of this
They're
movie. They are the
so
love story. There is such like a
cute.
tenderness in all of the interactions
Yes.
we see between them.
And it was early days to see a gay couple, like, you know, and felt like it was just like
And I was struck
beautifully
by the
done.
fact that almost all the reviewers called it out, that it was like an impressive feat that this gay couple was just sort of seamlessly
Yeah.
integrated into this ensemble without it becoming like a
Yeah.
special episode, like, you know, PSA type situation.
No, it was so, and it was an important part of the story. It was
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
well done. It was so, for 94, come on, beautifully done.
Yeah. I mean, we'll get to the funeral scene, which I
Oh.
think is truly the heart of the movie. And
And the performance and beautiful.
yeah. So meanwhile, at the bar at wedding number 2, Charles runs into Carrie. Why is she here? How does she know these people? We don't know.
It doesn't matter.
He says that he's overwhelmed to see her and is like, please don't go back to America. I have to go deliver these drinks to my friends. So he does that, and then he runs back to Carrie, and she's like, oh, Charles, please meet my fiance, Hamish.
Chaos.
He appears
We never
to be...
learned, was she engaged when they did it before? We don't know anything.
So the vibes are
Right.
to me, no. We don't know anything, but my read on it is that like in the
3
intermediate
months. 3 months.
time.
That's chaos.
Yeah,
to be
especially
fair-
because after their first meeting, she says, like, we missed a real opportunity, suggesting that maybe there could have been more.
Okay, so
if-
she met a guy and immediately
She met a
got
guy.
engaged.
He's older.
He's probably
He's
rich.
I have
Yeah.
to say, even in 30 years, I do get the sense that engagements have gotten longer and like courtships have gotten longer, because these people are all getting married after like 2, 3, 4 months of dating, and it doesn't seem to be a big deal.
Right. That's a good point. That's a really
now
solid
it's like,
point.
wait, you're getting engaged? You haven't dated for 3 years yet. Like,
Yeah,
how
yeah,
long is
yeah.
your engagement going to be? Another
Right.
3 years, I assume.
Right.
But now she has met this gentleman, Hamish. He appears to be about 57. He looks like an aging member of the British royal family. And
Correct.
as we learn later, he owns half of Scotland. So he's wealthy.
And Charles is just bereft.
Yeah. We also learn about Hamish that he is like a real patriarchal asshole. Like, the one thing we really see him say to Carrie at this wedding is like, I told someone I was going to get you. Like, he's going to think I've totally lost control of you already. And he kind of pulls her away. Like, he doesn't even care about meeting her friend. He needs to posture to his friend that he's in charge of his gorgeous
Gross.
fiance.
This man is bad.
So gross.
So poor Charles is so sad. His friend Matthew tries to console him about his eternal loneliness, saying maybe he just hasn't met the right girl yet. And Charles says, maybe I meet the right girls all the time. Maybe it's me.
Okay.
I actually think this is the smartest thing that Charles says about himself.
I
with that thought,
agree. And
Charles.
this was smart to put in. I thought this was a smart detail.
Like, it is you. It is
The
in
common
fact,
denominator
definitely
is you, bro. If it keeps happening, you might have a hand in it, sir.
And then we see this immediately because
Yeah.
Matthew says, well, you'll probably meet the right girl at dinner.
And he does.
And he does meet all of the formerly right girls at dinner because he
It's so
is just at a
smart.
torture table. I assume like Lydia did this. I don't know. As just like
well,
revenge
apparently
for all these
he
women.
broke all of her friends' hearts. He is at a table full of his exes.
Yeah, and she clearly was
Incredible.
like, you have to face the fucking music.
Yeah.
Incredible.
And all of these women are just like, Charles, you're the most like indiscreet man in all of England. Like, you were just constantly talking shit about your exes to all of us. And so talking shit about all of us to all of us is
Right.
what they determined.
So one of them was like, when we were traveling in India and I was so ill, you made fun of me. And one of the other women is like, yes, I believe that he told me that he called you vomiting Veronica.
He sucks.
Charles, you
garbage.
nightmare.
And
And
then-
then it gets worse.
One of them brings up a girlfriend named Helena, whose mother made a pass at him. And apparently he called them Miss Piggy and Mrs. Piggy, respectively.
I can't.
And
disgusting.
I just want to note here that Charles is laughing at this, too, which is weird because surely he knows at least that Helena is the woman sitting right next to him.
No, he doesn't recognize her.
She says, we've both lost a lot of weight since then.
So 90s, so unkind.
Yikes.
Brutal.
Brutal.
And it's like, ha, 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 ha. And it's like, oh.
And they're like, ha, 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 just a fat joke. Ha, 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 ha.
Oh,
It's so nasty. Like, this is a woman that you wanted to date, but you can't speak of her with respect.
And you don't recognize her.
afterwards.
You're
You don't even
so
recognize her.
unkind.
He's
Gross.
just like a bad guy. Like,
He's disgusting. So it's
I
like,
think
is Richard Curtis disgusting?
He's
think he
like
might
an
be a terrible
absolute
boyfriend.
emotional terrorist.
Is Richard Curtis still alive and still writing things?
great
Got it.
question.
I gotta check if he's still alive. He's only 69, so
Oh,
But is he
okay.
still writing things? What's his most recent?
that Christmas 2024, and it's like an
Ooh.
animated
Okay.
film. He's
All
still
right.
out here. Oh, he also did Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again, which honestly
Okay.
is incredible.
I mean, obviously, I got this started.
But just the story for that. I don't
Yeah.
think he
okay,
wrote the whole
okay,
screenplay.
okay.
But he's out here.
So while Charles is confronting all of the women that he has treated disgracefully, at another table, an older woman is asking Fiona if she's still single because she's a lesbian.
Loved.
And Fiona's like, why would you ask me that? And the woman is like, well, it's a more interesting explanation than just I haven't met the right chappie. You know, could be that.
I kind
don't
of
know.
enjoyed this.
I loved it.
Tom tries to give, and this is also where Fiona kind of hints that she is in love, in unrequited
Yeah.
love. And
Yeah.
we later find out that it is with Charles. So meanwhile, Tom is trying to give a funny best man speech like Charles, but no one is amused at his jokes.
Unsuccessful. He doesn't have
Obsessed.
Riz,
He
as the
doesn't-
kids would
he
say.
doesn't have the juice.
Obsessed.
I will say he makes a pretty bad strategic blunder because what he does is he calls all of Bernard's exes, many of them present, dogs, and discusses
right.
which of them Bernard had tried to propose to before Lydia.
Right.
So, like, you
I
can
forgot.
call the men philanderers, but you cannot call the women ugly. Like,
Right.
that insults everyone, both the
Yes.
women and the men.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he really does not read the room properly. So
Yeah.
it's a
Yeah.
flop.
It's crazy how much as a society, like when you watch stuff like this back, you're like, no wonder women, like, no wonder I grew up feeling ashamed. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Of
no
course.
wonder. You're like, look at what the value is. You just have to be like, Andie MacDowell is just beautiful and she likes to get
Yeah.
at it. Like, that's all you need to know. You don't need to know anything more about her character. Like, it's just fat, like that. They only value better not be fat or unattractive in the males. It's crazy watching back the value, which is probably still happening. I mean, I'm sure there's stuff that we're still blind to, like, but this is what was drilled in.
Yeah, I think there's like such a high standard still for women being beautiful, but there's maybe
Yes.
more awareness alongside of that like that is a crushing burden for women and they should be able to have lives outside of meeting that expectation. Like, it's
Yeah.
kind of a mixed bag, but we're working on it. So after the dinner, Charles manages to insult yet another ex, saying that if he sees Henrietta, the horror will be complete. And she happens to be right behind him, played by Anna Chancellor, who for me
So
will
good.
always be Caroline Bingley. But she is great in this role. And so she rushes off in tears.
She's so good.
There's a similar prickliness actually in her Henrietta
That's
and
kind
Caroline
of her
Bingley.
signature character.
She's so good.
Right?
She's
And
great.
that it is sort of like, sadly, like the casting, I feel like, is often based around the look. Like, she has this sort of like severe facial structure that I
Yeah.
think gets her cast for those roles.
Yeah.
And I thought about that actually a lot because she always plays this kind of role.
I know, it made me wonder if the actor felt bad. You know what I mean? If like when she was walking down the aisle, if like that there's like, ooh, who would marry Duckface? You know what I mean? Like there was a part of me was like, oh, I hope that actor didn't feel bad. Not
She's
that
stunning to
Yeah.
I
be
mean,
clear.
she's stunning, but you know what I mean? That like,
Yeah.
there's the joke is about her face to like that. You're like, oh, I hope, like, I'm sure she has more wherewithal, but you know, you just hope that she didn't. I don't know. Like, you don't want to be. I've played the part where it's like, who would be with her? You're like,
Yeah,
you just
it doesn't
you're
feel
like,
good.
no, literally,
Cool,
there's like a
thank
whole
you.
ad
Love
campaign.
to
It was
be
like,
so seen.
Yeah.
yeah. I've played that part, and you're like, you just hope that she has a like. This is like, oh, I hope.
I know. You're like, you hope
Yeah,
you have like
yeah.
a good sense of self because she is also just like obviously an incredibly striking presence.
Oh, gorgeous. But yeah, you hope she feels okay.
But all is not horror because David is about to have a strike of luck. The pretty girl who has a crush on him, played by Robin McCaffrey, has learned a little bit of sign language. She uses it to tell him that her
So
name
cute.
is Serena, and he asks her to dance.
Oh.
Charles, meanwhile, sneaks up for a private moment in a suite where he sadly observes Carrie getting into a car with Hamish and then accidentally is like trapped in there while the bride and groom have a very noisy tumble in the midst of their wedding.
Fun.
Those condoms are probably going to be necessary now.
Fun.
And as they're like waiting for round 2, he's like, I can't do this anymore. He just like kind of saunters out and like gives them a nod of the head.
I mean, good for them.
Stumbles right into Henrietta, who is weeping. And she's like, we need to talk, like, and she unloads on him. She's like, you're a serial monogamist. You're sweet and loving to your girlfriends, but you never really love anyone.
Yes.
You were sweet to me, even though I thought you too was a kind of submarine. I don't know what this means. Why would someone be mean to you just because you don't know who you two is? And she throws herself she throws herself on his neck and sobs that she misread him. She thought he was planning to propose, but he was just working out how to leave her.
Justice for Henrietta. This man is a terrorist.
This is
Agree.
This man is I don't know if everyone listening watched Nobody Wants This, but this man is the original Rabbi Noah. Like the shitty boyfriend disguised as like the good boyfriend who then like does the sudden rug pull when he reveals that he never really
like,
wanted a future with you.
Capital G good guy.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Exactly. I'm just acting the way that I think I'm supposed to act, but none of it is undergirded by any like real respect for you or care for
like,
you.
Well, I don't like you.
I don't
but I'm
like
trying
you.
To be
I'm
good to you.
Just doing the things that good guys do so that I can think of myself as a good guy.
Brutal.
And then
that makes me sad.
It's sad. He sucks. And then as Henrietta rushes off weeping, Carrie appears, and it turns out Hamish just had to leave early to take a train to Edinburgh, and she asked Charles to go out of the wedding with her and then come up for a nightcap. And he's sort of like, are you sure? And she says, I think I can resist you. You're not that cute.
But it's Hugh Grant, and he is that cute. So obviously...
He is. He just is.
Cute. The next thing we see is the two of them naked in bed together.
Even though she's engaged to Hamish.
I mean, to be fair, I was like, I
got it.
Cheat on Hamish. I don't... That's fine.
Exactly. He was toxic.
He seems like he really sucks.
They're not married. Okay, like it's not really cheating until you're married.
That's how it works.
It seems to be how she thinks about it. So 1 month later, Scarlett wakes Charles with a tray of breakfast and mail, and he's so excited to have no weddings this weekend. But it turns out he actually does have a wedding invitation. Carrie's wedding invitation.
Toxic.
They kind of explain this as like she's just inviting everyone that she knows in England, even slightly. So
she's
that
like, there's too many of the terrible stiffs that Hamish knows. So I have to invite everyone I've met one time.
She doesn't want to talk to the men who are like active in Scottish politics that Hamish is inviting. And so he goes to this like luxury store to get like an antique or something from her registry. Dude. But his budget is pretty tight. He's like, what do you have for like £50? And the shop lady is like, well, you could get that pygmy warrior statue.
Oh.
Side note, yikes. Incredibly racist looking.
I'm going to say Hamish does seem like the type of man who would have very racist taste in art.
Agree.
Well, I got to say, it seems like Carrie also does.
They share that in common.
But yeah, the shop lady is like, you'll just need to get someone to kick in the other like £3,950. Or you can get 33 of our carrier bags, which are £1.50.
£1,000 minimum? In 1994? That's crazy.
That's such a trashy registry. It's so unkind.
Well, this was like the most off-putting thing about Carrie that happens to me in the whole movie. This like actually I think this scene sort of poisons Carrie for me as a character because Carrie appears suddenly and she's just reveling in the whole gift part of the wedding. She's like, I just love it. I wish I got married before so people give me presents. Yeah. She's clearly just there to check on which expensive gifts people have purchased for them. She's like, has anyone gone for the pick-me yet?
A man wrote this. A man wrote this.
Yes, correct.
It's just so
This is a
off-putting.
woman written by a man, so
But
obviously.
even in that sense, don't men traditionally find this to be a female vice? Like, why is he giving this trait to his
romantic
like his
lead.
romantic lead? Like, he's turning her into sort of the materialistic, like greedy, money grubbing archetype, but she's supposed to be the dream girl.
I think he's
She's
literally
like,
like, that's what women want. This is what women, this is like
Women be shopping.
women, ladies be, yeah.
Ladies be
women-
trying to get other people to buy $4,000 racist statues for them.
It's so crazy. Yeah.
I was like, oh, I just don't like her. Like, I can't
this
get
was,
behind this.
And then the rest of the this was a terrible afternoon of what she chose. It felt so unkind.
Yeah.
Too.
Because then,
her
she takes
shopping
him
spree.
wedding dress shopping.
Her pretty woman moment, but like her wedding dress, which is such a fucked up thing to do with the person that you've slept with twice.
Right. She has only interacted with this man by hooking up with him. He's clearly, you would have to be blind not to see the effect that you have on him. He's clearly so into her, and she takes him out to see her try on a bunch of beautiful wedding dresses that she's going to wear to marry another man.
Yeah, it's a very unkind
clearly just
move.
like it gives her a huge ego boost.
It's unkind
to have a man who's into her compliment her in all of these dresses.
Yeah, agree.
It's like a shepherdess getup is one of them. Why is this? We see multiple versions of this in the wedding. Were women dressing up as shepherdesses for their wedding a lot?
By the way, all the things she put on, I feel like were then later worn in the final credits by some of the other gals.
Maybe that's why we saw it twice.
Yeah.
They needed to reuse costumes. They were on a very tight budget.
Exactly.
So they go out to eat after this, and this is when she insists that she won't be unfaithful after marriage. And he asks her for her...
if it's before, sorry.
He asked her for her body count.
Ew.
Which is,
rude,
this is one of the only conversations we see them have. And he's like, so what's your number?
So gross. It's the only thing he's curious about.
It's weird. I'm like, get to know literally you think people talk to each other about their body counts, but not about their jobs? Like, what
and
is
she's like scandalized that his
also
lower.
After he went to the wedding, we've even just seen like one table of his body count. Like that's just one wedding table of his body count.
Well, I guess
apparently everyone he's ever slept with was at that wedding, because his body count is allegedly 9.
No way.
No way.
No way. They were all, that table was of 9.
I know, it's insane.
Well, but apparently those are the people that he's like dated through his entire like teens
so
and 20s.
Gross.
Yeah. So she was up to 6 by 17. Charles is already shocked. In university, she says they were all sensitive, caring, intelligent boys, sexually speaking, a real low patch. We all know you have to be a disgusting misogynist to be good at sex. That's that's science. They've got real evidence on that. She details all of these men: a heartbreak, a threesome, an elephant tongue, a man who kept falling asleep on her, a man and his father, which he shouldn't be shocked by given his whole situation with Helena and her mother. Hamish is her 33rd, and he was 32. And so again, we're seeing that like when Fiona says she's a slut, yes, that is her character. They're like, look at this slut. Look at this hoe bag. She slept with 33 men. She's had threesomes.
I'm like, get it.
I know. I'm like, good for you.
Yeah.
The movie doesn't seem sure about how we should read this. Like, is it admirable, or is it sort of like,
or do you think
not?
It's like left open, and do you think that the British and American audiences had different reactions to it?
Well, that's what I actually thought Andie MacDowell did a good job. I believed her in her recounting. I felt for her as an actor having to do this speech, and I felt like she
did the best she could.
I didn't. I'm sure she didn't feel like doing this speech, but this is what was the character, and I felt like it was a believable telling, and her character didn't seem ashamed, and she just sort of seemed like she enjoyed. I don't know. I was like, okay, this is what she had to do as a performer, and I felt like she did a good job.
Yeah, it's just
it was so gross.
It's just part of the character that doesn't quite cohere for me. Like they kind of want her to be sort of this like sexual American, and that makes her sort of seductive but also he's sort of put off by it. You know, like it doesn't quite add up. And he's also embarrassed. He's like, oh, I've only have 9. I don't know what I've been doing with my time. Unfortunately, Arden,
dude, I don't want to go.
Time. I know.
I don't want to
We're
go.
so sad. We're going to have to finish without you.
Thank you so
Oh my
much
God, I'm
for
sorry I have
joining us,
to
Arden.
leave.
I'm
It's
sorry,
such
too.
a pleasure. I
We
wish
couldn't
I
keep
could
it short
stay.
enough.
Well, believe me, there's too much to say. And I hope to see you soon.
Bye.
Bye. So suddenly, in the midst of this meal with Carrie, Charles realizes that he is standing up his brother David somewhere, and they rush to meet him. And he explains to David in sign language that he was shopping for a wedding dress with Carrie, who is marrying, quote, some total penis. And David also takes, some might say, advantage of the language barrier here to make some inappropriate comments about, for example, Carrie's breasts, while Charles translates this into appropriate comments about the wedding. I read a great piece about this movie by Lily Marcus, where she talked about how this is kind of like a trope with deaf characters that like use sign language, that it's used as kind of an opportunity for this kind of humor that, you know, no one else can understand that they're saying something inappropriate. But you can kind of tell by the way that they're moving their hands, maybe. I do think that he kind of exemplifies some of the tropes that she writes about. We'll talk about another one later. But in this moment, Charles is kind of like frantically being like, oh, he's just saying that, like, what a lovely place for a wedding, Scotland, lovely. Carrie excuses herself, but Charles runs after her, and amid a great deal of self-deprecating stammering, he tells her that, in the words of David Cassidy, while he was still with the Partridge Family, I think I love you. And he's about to ask her something, but then he starts being like, no, of course you wouldn't. No, certainly not. How foolish of me. Lovely to see you. And he turns to walk away. And as he walks away, she says, that was very romantic. And he says he thought it over a lot and it was important to have said it. And she says, you're lovely, and kisses his cheek.
And Charles still goes to this woman's wedding because he's a masochist.
This is great. Well, and this is one of those moments that I think makes her very hard to connect with for me, because we have no insight into what she's thinking or feeling other than that she thinks it was romantic for a man to say this to her, but it doesn't seem to like shake her plans at all or like really move her beyond being like, how flattering. That's nice.
I feel like Richard Curtis is very enamored with this idea of like unrequited, one-sided love. You know, we see it come up in Love Actually as well with the Keira Knightley character and like the best friend.
Yeah.
And he doesn't really feel that interested in examining the like betrayal or uneven power dynamics that could arise in these situations. He's just like, what a lovely romantic moment.
Well, and it's such a traditional like male-female divide in how he sees this playing out, which is like, this is a man. He's yearning after a gorgeous, unattainable woman. He barely knows anything about her, but he loves her and he must have her. And she's so remote and unreachable. But then suddenly, through his years of commitment and devotion to her, she realizes that she loves him too. And now everything is fine. And as a woman, I love yearning, but I don't feel like that dynamic quite gets into the complexity and texture of that experience for me. Like, that's why I'm always like, I wish that it would work out with Fiona, where we really see their dynamic, I think, in a more lived in sense. And to see them kind of like actually interact through that would be beautiful. So it's time for the third wedding. Charles shows up late to a remote church in Scotland and interrupts the ceremony just in time to see Carrie say I do to Hamish. Gareth looks into the ceremony. Gareth is there. They're all there because, again, Carrie just had to invite everyone.
Every person Carrie has ever met is there.
Right. All her friends are just Charles's friends, and yet they have never met before the first wedding here, and they don't know anything about each other.
Some Americans did fly in.
Yes, some Americans flew in, and she's very grateful to them. So Gareth looks into the reception. There are men in kilts dancing to bagpipes, and he's like, it's Brigadoon! He's so excited to dance in a kilt.
I love Gareth.
And he starts urging all of his sad single friends to go forth and conjugate because he wants to attend the wedding of someone that he loves for a change.
Oh.
So they all fan out and start to flirt because Gareth is their leader. And Scarlett approaches a tall American man and says she's named after Scarlett O'Hara. And he says that his name is Rhett. This is a joke, which is like kind of a thin joke, but it impresses Scarlett because she thinks all Americans are, quote, dull as shit, except for Steve Martin. She's like, there is an American comedian.
Shout out to Steve Martin, killing it in this movie.
And then Rhett agrees that Steve Martin isn't boring. And she's like, you're lovely. Like, that's all she needs to hear.
I love this for Scarlett. He's handsome and tall.
She deserves a tall, handsome man. Charles runs into Henrietta and braces for a scene, but she's cheerful because she has everything that a woman in a Richard Curtis film wants. She weighs almost nothing, and she has a divine new boyfriend.
Yeah, Richard Curtis really has a consistency of being obsessed with women's weight. See Bridget Jones.
Yeah, and Love Actually.
Yeah, and Love Actually. Oh, yeah, and Love Actually. Bridget Jones really made an impression on me because it's like naming specific weights throughout the...
Oh, it's very, very...
Which, to be fair, is also in the book, but like Richard Curtis loves that shit.
He leaned into it. But I think the interesting thing about Love Actually to me is that it does sort of feel like it has some of the Four Weddings DNA, and just having a female character who has no personality except for wanting to be thin is like also a big part of Love Actually. It's like, what can we do to make this character jump off the page? She feels a little bit overweight. She feels thin and she loves it. I don't know. What do women think? Charles, he loves a woman he can't have.
I was like, Charles, fuck you. Fuck you. At this point, Charles is like, maybe we should have gotten married, Hen. Charles, let her have her divine new boyfriend.
Yeah, well, she's unattainable now. So he's like, oh, now that you're off limits and you're not like, you're not coming after me for commitment. Now I'm like, I guess I should have given you that commitment, maybe. I should have just married you instead of this woman I actually love who's unattainable. Now you're unattainable also. You also are looking pretty good. But Hen says she wouldn't have wanted to be that close to his friends, especially Fiona. And he says, Fiona loves you. And she says, Fiona calls me duckface. He denies having heard this. And then when Henrietta leaves, Fiona comes up and asks how Duckface is. And he says, good form, not too mad. And somehow this pissed me off the most. I was like, you are the shittiest boyfriend.
Oh, no. How dare you? How dare you?
Your friend was calling her this name to you, and you did not stick up for her. You did not tell her. You did not take her side. Shitty boyfriend of the year award.
Your ex is crazy. That's red flag. Red flags after red flags.
The only right thing is for you to end up with your mean friend who is in love with you and that you have chosen loyalty to over all of the women you have ever dated by being mean about your exes with her.
I don't know. Fiona needs to like free herself from this prison of Charles.
Sadly, yes. So as Charles watches Carrie dance a reel with Hamish, Fiona is over his shoulder watching him, and she says, you like this girl, don't you? And he admits that he does. He asks if she's found someone yet, and Fiona seems to feel that this is the time to bare her soul. She's like, it's done. I've been in love with the same bloke for ages. And he asks who, and she says, you, Charlie. And she's smiling, but it seems like maybe she was hoping for a slightly more excited response, because when he looks panicked, her face falls and she walks away. He follows her, and she admits that she fell for him when they first met. And then she's like, there's nothing we can do, but it's all right. Friends isn't bad. Friends is quite something.
Oh, devastating. Kristin Scott Thomas sells this moment too.
Oh, she's so good. There's something about the Richard Curtis view of love here also that is sort of like the only kind of real love is like a thunderbolt. It's like, I loved you the minute I saw you is pretty much the only kind of love story we see. Maybe Lydia is the only person that we see have a different...
yeah, we even see Tom dispute this view of love and then be proven wrong.
Yeah, almost immediately. Matthew comes in and finds Fiona and Charles. His cheek is covered in lipstick, and he says Gareth is torturing Americans, apparently by telling them he has mutual friends with Oscar Wilde. And
Obsessed.
I take offense because I'm American, but I know that Oscar Wilde was not alive in 1994.
Also, like, I do know that reference as a euphemism for queerness.
Yeah. We see what you're doing. But he's offering to like give this woman Oscar Wilde's fax number. Back out in the ballroom, Carrie offers the first toast. And she says if her dad were alive, he would have said, great dress, babe, but why are you marrying the stiff in the skirt? And she says she would have told him because I love him.
At this point, I was like, are we supposed to believe that she loves Hamish?
Right. That is completely unclear to me. We don't really get to see her show or express that love in any sense. She loves the wedding registry. She doesn't want him to cheat on her, and so she feels like she can't cheat on him either. But does she love him?
There's no evidence.
I guess she's marrying him. But then again, he owns half of Scotland, so that seems like a compelling reason as well. Hamish is up next, and he says anyone involved in politics is used to being upstaged by a woman, because, of course, this is shortly after the Thatcher era. But he didn't expect it to happen on his wedding day. What do you mean?
I thought every groom expects to be upstaged by the bride. I thought that's the whole thing. It's like the one day we get. Women are given this one day to be the center.
But she gives one funny, charming speech, and you feel like she has stolen your limelight. Shut up,
this
dude.
is how we know that this marriage is doomed from jump.
Yeah. But he's like, oh, but I'm so thrilled to be upstaged by her for the rest of my life. Are you? You feel like giving speeches is your thing, don't you? As he is speaking, however, Gareth collapses. He has been dancing very vigorous Highland reels, and it seems that his heart couldn't take it. He's clutching his chest. Everyone else just kind of like keeps laughing at the speech. Only his friends who are right near him notice him fall, and they carry him out and try to help him. I thought it was almost strange. I mean, it's fictional, obviously, but the idea of them carrying him out instead of being like, help, like,
where is a doctor?
Call a doctor. They're like, let's get him out so he doesn't disturb.
No, it's like
the speech.
so British, like must not disturb the scene.
Yeah, let's see if we can get a pulse when we're out in the other room.
It's just devastating. And obviously Gareth had to be the one to die because he is like the joy, the most clear-eyed, like the most fully realized person in the group.
He is like the center of the group.
And he's the emotional
host,
core of the movie.
I think that he and Matthew are the emotional core of the movie.
Yeah, that's what I mean. His relationship.
Because I think Gareth himself, he's a little bit of like a caricature, right? He's a little bit larger than life. He's a little bit cynical and boisterous and fun. Matthew is the grounding half of that. And together they show how like a couple can be two halves of a whole, and they can make each other into something bigger than they are alone.
And John Hannah's performance, like at this point in the movie, he turns and really like, I think takes front and like takes center stage.
Yeah, this is his moment at the funeral. He is now effectively a widower, and at the funeral, the vicar asks him, as Gareth's closest friend, to speak first. And he gives this incredible eulogy. This, I think, is kind of the centerpiece of the movie. It's the emotional core of the movie. This is the scene I remember from the movie. It's the one that affects me emotionally. Like,
I'm literally tearing up just anticipating you describing it. Like, that is the effect that this scene has on me.
I watched this at like 11:30 p.m. in my in-laws' dining room to prepare for this over Thanksgiving, and I was in floods of tears.
I was sobbing. I was just sobbing in our living room watching this.
So he gives this lovely eulogy. At first, it's sort of funny. He talks about how Gareth always liked funerals over weddings because he had an outside chance of being involved in one. He says he called people to ask their impressions of Gareth, and they mostly used the words fat and incredibly rude. But he says that also people associate him with joy and with hosting. He has a dreadful recipe for duck a la banana and these kooky waistcoats. And like, he's just this joyful, larger than life figure that meant so much to so many people. And then he tries to sort of speak about his relationship with Gareth. And he says, that the words that he wants are really better said by W.H. Auden, Funeral Blues. I think I'm probably not alone in having been introduced to Auden probably for the first time by this movie.
Oh, 100%.
And certainly this poem. He reads it in full. And his
I
reading
can't,
of
I
it is
can't
so
handle it.
his reading of the poem itself is incredible. It's such an original and evocative way of describing the feeling of grief, and the way that he reads it is so moving. Let's just play a little bit of this poem as done by John Hannah in this scene.
He was my north, my south, my east and west, my working week and my Sunday rest, my noon, my midnight, my talk, my song. I thought that love would last forever. I was wrong. The stars are not wanted now. Put out every one. Pack up the moon and dismantle the sun. Pour away the ocean and sweep up the wood. For nothing now can ever come to any good.
I mean, I just...
Yeah. I mean, I'm like, the part about pouring away the ocean and sweeping up the wood, for nothing now can ever come to good, always, like, really unlocks the tears. And, like, I think if you've ever lost someone who meant so much to you, like, it just captures that sense of desolation.
There's also
So
something here to me that is, like, so striking, and that, like, they are in this religious setting, and this was this moment for, like, the gay rights movement where, like, there really was not a lot of visibility. Like, for example, we have Ellen's big coming out episode 3 years later in 1997. This was like, I mean, the AIDS crisis is, like, still ongoing at this point in the 90s. Like, it's just and to have, like, putting all of that context in, and, like, that line, which was clearly very intentional, where the vicar refers to Matthew as Garrett's closest friend, like, this like, inability to even talk about the fullness, oh my God, talk about the fullness of queer relationships in, like, the public sphere at this time. It's just, there's something that adds, in addition to being such a perfect representation of grief, like, that extra layer, I think, also adds to it. Like, the fact that this relationship is clearly the healthiest, most fully realized, most beautiful one in this movie, and that it's also the relationship that is, like, able to be celebrated in the society and in the culture at that time the least. It, like,
yeah.
kind of adds to the tragedy of it.
No, I agree with all of that, and it is sort of heartbreaking that when we have this sort of beautiful gay partnership, it ends tragically, right? That we don't get to see the happy ending for them that the other characters have, and Matthew ultimately gets a happy ending, a new happy ending in the final montage. But it was a moment when so many gay people were losing their partners and losing their lives, and when that grief was very, very real. And I think to show almost like romantic love in this moment of loss almost speaks more powerfully to the joy and the beauty that it holds than to show the meet cute and the
I
first
agree.
date.
To me, like, this is the relationship that makes you believe in love, and this is also the relationship that makes the rest of the group believe in love. I think
Yeah.
after this, Charles refers to this as, like, look at that. That's proof, like, a perfect match
Yeah.
exists.
Well, after the service, Charles speaks to Carrie, and he jokes that her honeymoon must have been the shortest in history, that she cut it off to come here. And she brings up what he said in the street, and he says he's sorry, and she says, "No, I liked it. I liked you saying it." She kisses him and walks off. And
You
so
cruel
again,
woman, Carrie.
I'm just like, what did you like? She's keeping him on the hook. She's stringing him along.
She's already realized she's going to need to divorce Hamish soon.
I'm like, I'm sure you did like it, but do you like him? But yes, they're not done with kind of processing what happened with Gareth's death. And so Tom, the rich buffoon, is ready for his moment of character development by kind of talking this through with Charles. So they go for this walk in the rain after the funeral. And then Charles says something that really threw me for a loop. He's like, "It's odd. All those years we were single and proud. We never noticed that for all intents and purposes, two of us were married the whole time." And Tom says they were traitors in their midst. I thought they all knew that they were a romantic couple, but this conversation actually made me wonder if they didn't.
No, I think they knew.
How could they have then not noticed that they were not single? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know. It's just an odd comment because they definitely know.
Like is it just that even though these were their dear friends, they couldn't read a gay relationship, a cohabiting long-term gay relationship as marriage, as serious, as a relationship as serious as marriage? Because I think that's like an incredible indictment of them as friends, if so.
It's bizarre because every reading prior, it's very obvious that they are aware that they are a couple.
Right.
So it's like, yeah, why did it just dawn on you
right.
that this was true love?
There is something about the way that Gareth and Matthew and also David are included in this friend group where I feel like they're still not, they're both like very deeply loved and central to the group. And yet the way they're written is a little confusing. Like their friends don't really see them as whole people in certain ways. Like they didn't notice that Gareth and Matthew actually were deeply in love and committed to each other, even though their coupledom is like the basis for the whole, like they're the grounding couple in the whole group. David, as will become relevant later, seemingly can only talk directly to Charles because none of his friends have learned British Sign Language.
Once you pointed that out, I was like, this is bizarre. Like,
yeah.
guys.
So there's this like beautiful representation, but also the way that it's written at certain points, it seems to sort of accept that they won't be fully accepted even by their own friends. Yeah. But in this conversation, Tom talks about how death is hardest for the parents in some ways. We do see Gareth's parents at the funeral. And he says he hopes he dies before his children. And Charles is sort of like, "Oh, you still think you're going to have kids? Like,
Charles,
that's great. I love your optimism."
You dick. And but this is when Tom is like, "Look, unlike you, I never expected the thunderbolt. I just wanted to meet a friendly girl, like the look of her, hope the look of me didn't make her sick, and pop the question."
And he says, "It worked for my parents. Well, apart from the divorce and all that."
It's a good line.
Yeah. And I think that like this also is to me something that is so off-putting. That there are like two kinds of off-putting men that you can date. The guy who's like, it doesn't really matter who you are as long as you're cute and seem friendly enough, which doesn't make you feel special or seen by your partner, right? Or it's like, I'll never really consider you because I didn't have a magical moment of revelation when we first met that showed me you were the one. So I'm just going to date you and never really take you seriously because I didn't feel a thunderbolt. Like, isn't there some sort of healthy dating style in the middle here? But Charles at this point is sort of like, well, if it's not like Gareth and Matthew, I feel like we might as well just stay single. Like that's the love to really aspire to. But when Tom says this about not expecting the thunderbolt, it seems to kind of get some gears turning for Charles. And so what we see next is his alarm clock ringing again. And in fact, many alarm clocks. Tom is with him and he says he wanted to make absolutely sure they weren't late that day because this time, as the wedding invitation reveals, it's Charles's wedding. But to whom? A flower obscures the name. This morning of his wedding, his friends all play this like elaborate prank on him where they pretend that Tom set the alarm too late. And so they rush to the church only to realize that they're there like hours before the wedding.
I enjoyed this. They're like, fucking gotcha.
Fiona looks incredible. She has embraced color for the first time of all of the events we've seen her at. She's wearing like this red floral jacket, like very beautiful tailored long
It's like
jacket.
brocade.
Oh, she looks
gorgeous.
I would just propose to her on the spot. Like, what is
Fiona
Charles
would
doing?
be it for me.
The fact that
personally.
he's not marrying Fiona, to me, shows that he never expects to marry Henrietta. Because if you're going to settle for Henrietta or Fiona, which one would you settle for?
Well, no, because he wouldn't marry Fiona because he actually respects her. And he knows he doesn't
Right.
respect Henrietta, which becomes increasingly clear.
Right. A marriage to her wouldn't even mean as much if it did happen, because who cares? So as they sit outside, Fiona leads them all in a toast to Charles and Duckface. And this is how we learn that he is settling for Henrietta. But don't feel too bad for what Henrietta is about to endure, because as we see, she is upstairs slapping her bridesmaid's hand as her bridesmaid fixes Henrietta's hair
So
and
don't
flower
worry.
crown for her.
She's a bitch.
She's a bitch, so she shouldn't get to get married anyway. The other love stories, as we can see, have started to come together. Serena is David's date. Rhett, I forget his real name, walks up to the wedding and Scarlett throws herself into his arms, saying she thought he went back to America. And he says, without you, never.
Love it. Love it.
Tom locks eyes with a guest on the bride's side as he's ushering people to their seats. She's a
His
distant
cousin.
relative. Wait, his cousin?
Yes, she's his distant relative.
Oh, I thought it was a bride's guest.
She is, but she is Tom's distant relative.
Oh my God. Thank God. And I hope quite distant, because they are struck by a mutual thunderbolt. And
Yes, they established quite distant, but they did meet at a family gathering 25 years earlier.
Oh, okay. It seems like pretty clear that it's a thunderbolt, but in case we missed it, Richard Curtis has him then say, golly, Thunderbolt City.
Just in case you missed it.
Trust your actors, man. They nailed it. Carrie arrives alone, and Charles is just like hanging out in the church while people arrive. I don't know if this is the usual way in British weddings. He's almost just like up at the front being like, hello there. Yep, I'll be getting married soon. So he talks to Carrie. He asks how Hamish is, and she says, he's fine, I believe. He wasn't the man for me after all. And he asks if she left him, and she says, we left each other. And it happened a few months ago, and she had a very difficult
And he's like, why
March.
didn't you contact me?
She wasn't ready. There was too much going on. She was a wreck.
She needed to wait until his wedding.
They had to figure out what to do with the racist statue. Who's going to get it? Do they have to return it? He's really rocked to his core. He doesn't know what to do. He walks her in, and then he pulls her aside again inside the church. He clearly kind of wants to be like, let's just get married instead, but he can't say that. And she smiles and says their timing has been really bad, just a disaster, and he agrees. She tells him good luck and says it's pretty easy. Just say I do whenever they ask you a question, which he does. That comes back around quite poetically. So Charles is just hanging out still at the front of the church, but he excuses himself to Matthew, the best man, and he goes to the vestry to really like steel himself by yelling bugger over and over again. Meanwhile, Henrietta is arriving in clouds of baby's breath and tulle. Charles still hasn't returned. He's still in the vestry, absolutely freaking out. So Matthew goes to find him, and Charles asks him what he thinks about marriage. And Matthew is like, I think it's really good if you love the person with all your heart. And Charles is like, yes, but like I'm here, it's my wedding day, and I'm still thinking. And Matthew's like, thinking about what? And he's like, I can't say.
Oh, God.
He's rubbing his face. And then his brother David comes in, and finally, in sign language, Charles admits that he just saw Carrie and she's separated. So David tells him he has 3 choices. Go through with it, tell everyone it's off, and he actually can't think of a third. So, Charles has to pick one of those 2. Meanwhile, Tom has been stalling Henrietta and her dad by saying the hay fever patients need to be moved away from the flowers. Not a great excuse, but it gets the job done. And finally, Charles is like, I don't want to go out there and say, never mind, I'm calling it off. So he's just going to go through with it. So he goes back out to stand at the front of the church. And once again, just in case you're starting to feel bad, Henrietta is literally snapping at her own father during the walk down the aisle that he is holding her arm too tightly. This
Look,
bitch.
Justice for Henrietta. I'm on her side.
I mean, maybe I think she senses something's in the water. She's like, this day is not going right.
This day is cursed.
But they're at the altar, and as Charles hears the vicar talking about the importance of marriage as a state not to be entered into lightly, only soberly and in fear of God, he's clearly growing a bit anxious, but he stays silent. And when the clergyman opens the floor for objections, it is David who bangs on the pew and then raises his hand. And Charles has to translate for him because no one else present knows British Sign Language. And what he says is that he suspects the groom is having doubts. He suspects the groom would like to delay. And he adds that he suspects the groom really loves someone else. Charles sort of trails off. He doesn't want to actually say this out loud. And David goes on to say, like, Charlie, this is for the rest of your life. You must marry the person you love with your whole heart. And by the way, your fly's undone. And so Charles finally translates that he suspects the groom loves someone else. And the vicar says indignantly, "Do you love someone else? Do you, Charles?" And he says, "I do."
Henrietta, I think appropriately at this point, punches Charles in the face.
He has paid zero attention to her through all of this. It's like she's not even, she's like an NPC to him.
This is the meanest thing you can do to someone ever. This is horrific.
You can't even make eye contact with her and be like, "I'm so sorry, Henrietta.
Yeah.
I never wanted to do this to you, but he's right. I can't do this today." He's not even addressing her.
No, he is. Oh my God. This man is the villain.
This man is the villain, big time. And also this scene was where David's character, like, there's something about it that kind of like troubled me a little bit. Like, I love their close bond and the relationship that they have where they can really confide in each other. But the way that he is the one who speaks up in this moment and it sort of gives Charles the words for what he needs to do when Charles can't, does kind of play into this sort of like magical disabled person trope. And that he has this like higher level of like insight. He's able to be there to kind of help Charles self-actualize in this key moment. And the way that, like, he can't even communicate with anyone else because Charles is the only one who knows British Sign Language, I felt like really deepened that for me. That, like, his only voice is, like, in a sense, through Charles in these settings. And so his role becomes kind of like to support Charles, to read Charles's mood, to be Charles's confidant. What kind of relationship can he have with other people?
I was like, thank God at least his like future wife takes the time to actually get to know him and learn sign language.
She saw him at one wedding and was like, he was cute. I'm going to learn sign language just in case.
I'm going to put in more effort than any of his friends.
His other friends who have known him for years are like, it's okay. I don't need to be able to have a one-on-one conversation with David. Charles is always there. He can be part of it. But this is what Charles needed in this moment. And to be fair, it is true that like many of the times when we have this sort of like magical marginalized character trope, they don't get their own happy ending. They don't get their own love interest. So I am glad that, yes, he has Serena. Afterward, at home, Charles is bruised because Henrietta is strong, clearly. She really knocked him.
Look, I don't support violence.
Neither do I, but
in a way, maybe I do in this specific case, this specific fictional case.
He's in shock. Fiona even feels bad for Duckface. She's like, what you did was, I think, actually unforgivable.
She's correct.
What if she knew that Henrietta slapped her bridesmaid for positioning her baby's breath crown wrong?
I think Fiona is smart enough to see through that, and it doesn't matter.
But Tom is like, if Charles didn't want to marry her on their wedding day of all days. It's clearly the right decision.
And Tom is also correct. Fiona is correct and Tom is correct.
The wrong decision was trying to marry Henrietta at all when he clearly neither liked nor respected her. He pitied her, and he found her convenient. Those aren't the same thing. David signs to Charles that he blames himself, and Charles has to translate this to everyone, and they all hear this and are like, no, it's not your fault. But Charles signs back that they blame him too, which is sort of like funny, but also like it really does give Charles a huge amount of power that he has to be David's voice to their own friend group. Like he can change whatever David says. There's a ring at the door and Charles goes to answer it. And it's that iconic shot of Carrie at the door, completely drenched in rain. And he tries to bring her in and she's like, I'm fine. Comes a point when you're so wet, you can't get any wetter. And she tells him she wanted to check that he was okay, but she sees that he's fine. So she's like, I shouldn't have come to the church. I'm sorry. And she walks away. What is going through her head here? She's like, I shouldn't have come.
She feels bad.
So she clearly knows that she's the person that he's in love with. She feels bad that she came, but then to the church. But then why are you here if not to be like, now we're both single?
She's just, I don't know. She's dealing with her guilt in weird ways, but she's also like an opening.
Yeah, I feel like what she's doing is she is flipping the power dynamic again and being like, well, I came all the way here, but now you have to follow me out into the rain
and
if you really want this. And he does. He's like, no, wait, it was all my fault. I'm the bastard here. No arguments from us. He's like, it definitely sorted out one thing. Marriage and me were very clearly not meant for one another. And it sorted out another big thing as well. There I was standing in the church, and for the first time in my life, I realized I totally and utterly loved one person. And it wasn't the person standing next to me in a veil. It's the person standing opposite me now in the rain. And Carrie says, is it still raining? I hadn't noticed. She goes back and forth between being like, I don't even notice the rain, to being like, I'm going to drown. Why are we outside? He's like, I loved you from the first second I met you. And he's like,
the thunderbolt.
The thunderbolt. But he's like, I didn't realize it until our fourth wedding plus a funeral. And that's when I realized it. And he says, you're not suddenly going to go away again, are you? And she says, no, I might drown, but otherwise no. And so they go to walk in, but he stops her again and asks if eventually she might agree not to marry him. And if she would consider not being married to him for the rest of her life. He says, do you? And she says, I do.
Oh.
And they kiss in the thunderstorm. Crashes of thunder.
And then we get a montage. Just wrap it all up.
Yes, Henrietta does get married. So do David and Serena, Scarlett and Rhett, Tom and the woman from the wedding. She's wearing the Lil Bo Peep outfit.
Very hot in the 90s.
We see Matthew also celebrating something with, is it like New Year's or something, or a wedding with a new, very handsome gentleman. Fiona's pictured with Prince Charles. Obviously, we know she doesn't marry him.
But hilarious. And it wouldn't have worked out that well for her, probably. So,
and Carrie and Charles have a baby. So.
And it is very interesting what we were saying earlier about the fact that Richard Curtis did have this great love of his life that he was with and had children with and did not marry for many, many years. And that must have impacted this arc here.
Right. Like I see now that like I can see making this scene as if to say to your mom, like, look, it doesn't mean I don't totally and utterly love one person.
Yeah.
And like, yes, I'm committed to spending the rest of my life with her. But like marriage and me, we just don't get along. So
we won't get along until I'm in my mid-60s.
And then it will start to make a little bit more sense for me.
So before Arden had to run, she did leave us with some final thoughts about the movie. Let's listen to them now.
I wanted to say overall, here's my final thoughts. The Scottish wedding dance, incredible. The death, believable. The way it went down, believable. The funeral speech, beautiful. I love the twist of him marrying Duckface. And then the plot device of his brother being able to communicate with him in British Sign Language and like calling off the wedding. Beautiful. And the rain scene felt filmed after the fact. I don't know if it was. I don't know if it was a different ending and audiences. It felt like they changed. It felt like they'd done test screenings and that was tacked on. I don't know if that's the case. It felt like a studio note, but I could be wrong. I felt like people were like, we need them to end up together. The rain, it felt like a different DP.
I don't think that they changed the ending.
Because it just a little disjointed in some way.
It felt like a different movie to me a little bit, even though I liked
MacDowell
it.
has said that she was like, the line about the rain.
I know, I hadn't noticed.
We didn't expect it to like be as memorable as it was.
Is it raining? I hadn't noticed that one.
I wonder if it feels disjointed because it doesn't happen at a wedding. Like, it's like, shouldn't they be at another wedding? Everything happens at a wedding.
I also, when he said, I've loved you from the moment it's like, you love her? Like, you've never asked her a question.
Yeah.
But except for her body count. I will say they did have chemistry. I loved it. It held up. Overall, it held up for me. I'm mad at I wish she had a more interesting character. Even though, is it the most 3D performance in the world? No.
Yeah.
Is it the most 3D character on the paper? No. So I found it... I breathed into the rag and I enjoyed the ride with the flaws.
What would you rate the movie out of 10 beautiful English wedding hats?
8.
8. Strong rating.
8.
Yeah.
8.5. I might give it an 8.5.
Why not?
I think it's like a really fun ride. I was engaged the whole time. I never got bored. I saw it for its flaws. I think watching back 30 years later, like, that it could have been way more jarring. I found all the performances really charming. I believed the friend group, and I like that it's the launching pad for another Carrie and her friends and all of the friends' friends. And so I do like a thing where the central love affair is the friendship group, and I like ultimately. Even though there's a cynicism about the Carrie character, I like that the Scarlett character and the Gareth, or the man who's
Matthew,
that they're not cynical, and so I think that for that reason, and the look of it, and the outfits and the music, I give it an 8.5.
Okay, we love it. And Claire, what would we rate this movie out of 10 beautiful English wedding hats? We did just hear Arden's rating.
Yeah. Well, I warned you guys before the taping that I was going to be the hater. I don't love this movie. I think I might give it like a 5.5.
I think that's okay. I was going to go around a 6 because there is still a lot here that I'm very charmed by.
Mm-hmm.
I think that the Gareth and Matthew relationship like really imprinted on me. That funeral scene makes up for so much, and the just like lovely dynamic between the friends makes up for a lot for me. As a rom-com, it does not quite work because I don't give two shits about the Charles and Carrie relationship, but I do just fucking love Hugh Grant. I'm sorry. I love his little glasses. I love his floppy hair. I find him just like utterly charming, even though he is clearly the villain and he sucks, and he is a man, and Charles is a man that would like destroy my life.
Well, that's why he's such an effective villain. It's because it's what he's offering is so appealing. You're like, but what do you mean it's all a lie? Yeah, I completely agree with that. There's a lot here that's so fun. A lot of the dialogue and the patter is really fun. The Gareth and Matthew relationship, like that funeral scene, I think is the best in the whole movie. And then at the same time, I'm like, I just can't get over the fact that like the central romance is so thin. And the side romances are even thinner. Obviously, they're on the side. I also hate Love Actually, so it makes sense that like I feel like these relationships are like strained too thin over the course of the movie to really be satisfying. We don't see like much growth within them of either of the characters.
Maybe it's just that I saw this movie when I was even younger, that I do somehow have a greater nostalgia for Four Weddings and a Funeral than I do for Love Actually. Yeah, so I don't know. I land here like a 6 or a 6.5, and yet I still have a lot of affection for this movie, and I'm never mad when I watch it.
Yeah, I think it's just creates like an inverse situation than what I have with a lot of rom-coms that are not incredibly good rom-coms, where I end up just focusing on how romantic the central relationship is and the chemistry of the characters. And like, if it's not so good as a movie overall, at least that love story really hits. This love story does not hit.
0.
The characters are not satisfying. They're not fleshed out enough for me. They kind of are bad people. I don't care about them. And yet the whole experience of watching the movie has a lot to offer.
Yeah, I think that perfectly sums it up. And on that note, that is it for this episode of Love to See It with Emma and Claire. If you're watching this on YouTube, remember to like and subscribe to our channel.
Love to See It is a presentation of Odyssey. The show is produced by us, Claire Fallon and Emma Gray. Our production assistant is Tatiana Kenese-Smith, who also edits our video. This episode was edited by John Bahar. Our theme music is by Tamar Haviv, and our art is by Aaron Nestor.
If you like our show, remember to follow us, rate us 5 stars, leave a review, and of course, spread the word to all of your friends about Love to See It.
If you want to get in touch, you can email us at claireandemmapod@gmail.com.
You can also find us on TikTok at Love to See It Pod and on Instagram at Claire and Emma Pod. And you can find our newsletter Rich Text on Substack at claireandemma.substack.com. I'm also on Blue Sky at Emma Gray and on Instagram at Emma Lady Rose.
And I'm at Claire E. Fallon. Special thanks to the team at Odyssey, Eric Donnelly, Peter Arriaga, Kate Rose, Moira Curran, Melissa Wester, and Hillary Schiff.
We'll be back soon.